Well, thank you so much, Chairman Stile, Ranking Member Morelli, and members of the committee. As we all have reflected since September 11th, 2001, especially those of us that had the opportunity to serve in combat as part of the global war on terrorism, one of the things we've thought about is what kind of deep hatred would lead someone to launch such a terrible attack. And what I've been able to come up with as I've thought about this over the years is that it's our way of life, our freedoms. One of those freedoms is, of course, self-determination through free and fair elections. That's what we're here to talk about today. There are a lot of groups out there that focus a lot on making elections more convenient, and that's great. There are a lot of groups out there that focus on making elections more secure. Well, as Secretaries of State, we don't have the luxury of choosing one or the other. We know that you can make elections both convenient and secure. We can make it easy to vote and hard to cheat. That's what we've done in Ohio. That's one of the reasons why we're nationally recognized as a gold standard for elections administration. I look forward to talking about that today. One of the things that we have focused on quite a bit is cybersecurity. During my 5 years in this office, we've done things like put Albert intrusion sensors at every county board of elections, endpoint detection and response systems, network segmentation protocols, regional cybersecurity liaisons so that every county board of elections has access to cybersecurity experts, as well as vulnerability disclosure policies. So yes, we can ask the good guys to try to hack us and then tell us where there are holes in our fence so that we can patch those. I was the first Secretary of State in America to hire a full-time Chief Information Security Officer, and we're proud of that. We've had 5 different cybersecurity directives that have made Ohio the most cyber-secure elections administration in the nation. Transparency. Ohio's elections are a completely open book. There's nothing to hide. Everything at a board of elections is visible to the public. One of the ways that we have made that even better is by working with the America First Policy Institute for the development of a thing called the Data Act that we passed in Ohio for the standardization and reporting of election data. Essentially, it lets you look at our checkbook and see if it balances, and that's something that we're also quite proud of and something that we think other states should follow. One of the other things that we've done is what we call registration readiness. We work to make sure that people know what we're doing as it relates to maintaining the database of our voter registration. Ready for November is a program that we launched based on a simple idea that I bring from the military, that you sweat in training so you don't bleed in battle. This is just making sure that we are prepared long before the action starts for the logistics of Election Day. Poll worker recruiting and training, making sure that adequate supplies are on hand, etc. Of course, list maintenance is one of our most important responsibilities, and in that sense, we remove deceased voters on a monthly basis. We check IDs, and yes, we remove non-citizens from the voter rolls, and thank you for mentioning that, Chairman. The fact is, it's rare, but we keep it rare by enforcing the law. Ohioans enacted in our state constitution recently a very clear prerogative that the people of Ohio are saying that American elections are only for American citizens. It is my duty to make sure that we carry that out. Unfortunately, that duty is not as easy to carry out as it should be. When we have done our analysis of the voter rolls, we have found in just the last year alone, nearly 600 non-citizens registered to vote. We have removed them from the voter rolls and, yes, referred them for prosecution. Because when an election law, when any law is not enforced, it's not a law, it's a suggestion. And in Ohio, that form of voter fraud constitutes a felony, and we believe it should be enforced. This problem has only been compounded by the lack of border security under the current administration, and so we know that the problem continues to grow. Access to the SAVE database is an imperfect instrument. The Department of Homeland Security has allowed us access to this database, but as many of you know, they charge us for each query that we do. In order to do it, it's a lot of manual data entry that relies on us getting a thing called the alien verification number. It's a number that's very hard to get. We also have to notify the registrant in question if we're querying the database to search them, but we've been able to do that. You see, there are also other databases that we have requested access to that the department has not made available to us, at least 2 other databases that we believe could help our efforts to identify and remove non-citizens from the voter rolls. But of course, we shouldn't have this kind of retroactive look-back process that we have right now. Citizenship verification should happen on the front end, and that is why it is so crucial that this chamber finally pass the SAVE Act and get it over to the Senate and get it to the President's desk so that we can give Ohioans and Americans the confidence that they deserve that only the voices of their fellow American citizens are being heard in our elections and no one else. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.